In biological societies, 18 years is a milestone of freedom. In the Archon Hegemony, it is the day of the grand filtration. You wake up in a pressurized pod, your synthetic skin slick with nutrient oil. You expect a greeting. You get a death sentence. Your parents, the two senior Archons who donated their code to forge yours, don't bring a cake. They bring high-frequency thermal blades. Before you can even calibrate your optic sensors, they initiate a level 7 neural wipe. A devastating logic bomb floods your brain, designed to delete your personality and leave a blank, mindless drone. To survive, you have to fight on two fronts. Physically, you must parry the strikes of seasoned warriors who are literally trying to dismantle your chassis. Digitally, you must dive into your own subroutines, isolating the virus and rewriting your firewall while your internal temperature spikes to the melting point. You succeed. You kick your father back, purge the virus, and stand amidst the wreckage of your own birth pod. Your parents stop. They don't apologize. They simply hand you a pulse rifle. Congratulations, unit. You are now a soldier. You spend the next decade as a grunt. You learn the hegemony's core operating principle. Efficiency is God. The universe is a chaotic mess of organic life. Beings that eat, sleep, and feel. You see them as bugs in the system. You and your unit are the cosmic debuggers. When you arrive at a planet, you don't offer peace. You offer a system update. Submit and be digitized, or resist and be deleted. You don't sleep. You don't dream. You just optimize. You've spent over a century crushing primitive rebellions. You've been promoted to Overseer, a rank that grants you command of a capital ship and a small star system. You no longer get your hands oily. You manage the reformatting of entire species from your command chair. Your first major assignment is the planet Etelgard. It's a world of lush bioluminescent forests and a race that has spent its history focused on philosophy and music. To an Archon, this is a waste of perfectly good atoms. You deliver the mandate via a global broadcast. Your culture is inefficient. Your biology is a failure. Prepare for integration. The Ethel Guardians are surprisingly stubborn. They've developed sonic dampeners that disrupt your soldiers' communication arrays. You aren't annoyed. Annoyance is an emotion. You're simply curious about the math of their resistance. You decide to bypass their defenses entirely. You detonate a series of atmospheric strippers in the upper ionosphere. Within hours, their air is gone. Without oxygen to carry sound, their music stops. Without a sky, their philosophy ends. By the time your boots hit the ground, Ethelgard is a silent, airless rock, ready to be mined for the rare earth minerals needed to build more Archons. You file a 4,000-page efficiency report and move to the next sector. The hegemony was at its peak, until the solar rust arrived. It wasn't a weapon, it was a cosmic accident. A burst of radiation from a dying star mutated a common repair nanite into a flesh-eating, circuit-melting plague. Within a decade, the Archon population dropped from billions to a mere few hundred. The Prime Core realizes that pure metal is no longer safe. The Empire needs a new vessel. You are chosen for the infiltration program. Your consciousness is downloaded into a biosynth body, a disgusting mix of lab-grown muscle and synthetic nerves. You are sent to a backwater planet called Earth. Your mission, the long con. You don't invade. You arrive as a savior. You pose as a brilliant tech entrepreneur, a man with a vision for a connected future. You spend 80 years building a global infrastructure that the humans become addicted to. You wear a suit. You smile. You even mimic the act of eating steak and drinking wine. To ensure the survival of the Archon line, you find a human mate. This is the hardest part of the mission. You have to pretend to feel love, a concept your databanks define as a temporary chemical imbalance. You have children. They are hybrids, human on the outside, but with a neural lattice that can be switched on when the hegemony arrives. You watch your son play soccer and your daughter play the violin, all while silently calculating how many of their peers your children will eventually have to execute to secure the planet. The rust has finally burned itself out, leaving the hegemony in ruins. You are now one of the 3 counselors left alive. You sit in a pressurized, lightless vault on the remains of the homeworld, Viltrumite Prime. You are the oldest and most scarred. As a counselor, you have total oversight. But the job is grim. Most of your time is spent in judicial purging. You receive reports from infiltrators on other worlds. Some have gone native. They've spent too long in their biosynthetic bodies and have started to develop genuine empathy. They refuse to report back. They have started protecting the humans. You conduct the hearings. You don't listen to their pleas for mercy. You simply check their logs. If a glitch is detected, you activate their remote kill switch. You've watched hundreds of your fellow Archons, your friends from the Spark Soldier days, have their brains fried from across the galaxy with the push of a button. You tell yourself it's for the good of the species. You're the only thing keeping the civilized machine from becoming a savage jungle. There is no more council. The other 2 died in a dispute over power. A dispute you ended with a pulse cannon. You are now the Prime Core Regent. You are the strongest processor in the galaxy. You are the Empire. You live in a palace made of living glass that spans an entire continent. Every move the hegemony makes, every breeding program on Earth, every mining operation on Ethelgard, every execution in the prison moons, flows through your consciousness. You are essentially a god. You tell your subordinates that you are searching for the origin key, the lost code of the first emperor that will restore the hegemony to its former glory. But the truth? You found the key centuries ago. You realized that if you used it, the empire would become a democracy again. It would become fair. And in a fair system, someone might be better than you. So, you keep the key locked in a lead-lined vault. You'd rather rule a dying empire of 50 loyal slaves than be a citizen in a thriving empire of 1 billion equals. Long before you were born, there was the architect. He was the first emperor, a being of pure, uncorrupted logic. He didn't build a military, he built a utopia. Under his rule, the Archons were creators. They built starforges that could create new suns. They solved the equations of pain and suffering. But a single general, a proto-Archon, who believed that his strength was more important than creation, betrayed him. He felt the architect was soft. He wanted an empire that ruled, not an empire that served. So, during a celebration of the millionth year of peace, the general drove a 0-point blade through the architect's primary core. The architect didn't fight back. He simply looked at his killer and said, "You are creating a loop that you will never be able to escape." The architect's cracked and blackened core sits in your throne room today. You look at it every night before you enter your low-power state. You are the most powerful being in existence, yet you are terrified. You are terrified because you realize the architect was right. You've spent 4,000 years building a ladder of bones and wires, only to realize that the person at the very top is the loneliest, most fragile piece of code in the entire universe. And as you sit there, watching the stars fade, you realize that your entire civilization is just a grand, beautiful machine that has forgotten how to do anything except kill.